Welcome to Spin Cycle America. This is a special edition, the history of American football. From a rough college game to America's game, football. Welcome to Spin Cycle America. I'm Coach. Now, normally on Sunday, we normally would be working through American stories of history. But today, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit, or take a little bit of a detour, and still talking about history, but we're going to talk a little bit about football, how it began. So we're taking a little bit of a shift here because football season is here, it's upon us. So let's get started. High schools across America are putting on the pads, college football is underway, and the NFL is getting ready for another season. And as a football coach, I couldn't let the season get rolling without talking about something I love, football, and how it all started. So, the American history, or the history of American football, because the game we watched today isn't anything that they played 150 years ago. It is completely different. It's not even close. So today we're going to go ahead and step back in time, back into history, and we're going to go back to the beginning, to where it all started. Where did football come from? Believe it or not, American football didn't start as American football. It came, the game developed from older forms of soccer and rugby. Both games eventually made their way across the Atlantic and became popular at American colleges. Then something important happened. On November 6, 1869, Rutgers and Princeton developed or played a game that is commonly recognized as the first football game. But here's the interesting part. It didn't even look much like the football we know today. The rules were much different. There wasn't a modern line of scrimmage. There wasn't even a forward pass. You can't even throw the ball forward. And there certainly wasn't a 100-yard field with hash marks and or even a play clock. It was the beginning, not the finished product. Rugby changes the game. So during the first years that followed, rugby became increasingly influential in American football. And that's where things start getting interesting. American football became a combination of different influences. College or soccer contributed some of the game's early traditions. Rugby contributed running with the ball and other elements. American coaches and players began changing the rules. And eventually, something completely different began to emerge. American football. Still, we're not where we are today. The father of American football. So, one name stands out when we talk about the development of the American game, or the modern game of football. Walter Camp. Camp was a Yale player coach who became one of the most influential players or figures in football in the early development. He helped shape the rules that moved American football further away from rugby. The line of scrimmage was developed, became an important part of the game. The system of downs was developed, and the sport increasingly became a uniquely American game. The Pro Football Hall of Fame describes Camp as the father of American football. But the game was dangerous. I mean, can you imagine? All right, with all the equipment we have nowadays versus what they had back then. Here's something that your players today, or you out there listening, may not realize or believing, but American football could be brutal. There were fewer safety precautions, rules were different, mass formations could send large numbers of players crashing together. Can you imagine that? I mean, they weren't passing the ball. That was illegal to pass. There was no forward passes. In the early 1900s, concerns about injuries became so serious that football faced enormous pressure for reform. Rules changed, equipment improved, and eventually one of the most important changes in football history arrived. The forward pass. Can you imagine? Back then, they didn't have the forward pass. The forward pass was illegal. Today, quarterbacks throw the football all over the field, but it wasn't always legal. Can you imagine that? The forward pass was legalized in 1906. Think about that. Modern football, spread formations, RPOs, pass concepts, deep shots, quarterback reads, all of it exists in a game that once didn't even allow the forward pass. Can you imagine football today without the forward pass? It was one time illegal to pass that ball forward, to pass it. Think about that. That's one of the things I love about football. The game keeps evolving. Coaches evolve. Players are evolving. Strategies are evolving. But the fundamentals remain the same. When football became professional, college football players or college became extremely popular. But eventually, players began getting paid. One of the most famous early examples was William Pudge Helfinger. In 1892, Helfing Atlantic Association paid Helfinger $500 to play against the Pittsburgh Atlantic Club. 500 bucks. Can you imagine that? 500 bucks. Just imagine what your quarterbacks are getting paid nowadays, or your receivers. That payment is considered the first documented professional football payment. And think about that number, $500. Can you think of yourself getting paid to play this game for only $500? The NFL players sign contracts today worth millions. The game has come a long way since then. Millions they're getting paid. Millions. And several of them are now getting paid in Bitcoin. What a difference. So the NFL is born now. Professional football continued developing through the early 20th century. Then in 1920, representatives of several professional teams met in Canton, Ohio. They formed what was called the American Professional Football Association. But 2 years later, the organization changed its name to the National Football League. And that's when the National Football League was born. And the rest, as we say, is history. So from Canton to Sunday Night Football, we have this. Think about the evolution. In 1869, Rutgers versus Princeton, the game that barely resembles football today. Then you have Walter Camp, the line of scrimmage, the down system, the forward pass, professional football, the NFL, the Super Bowl, and now Friday night high school football, Saturday college football, NFL on Sunday football, even Monday and Thursday nights as well. Think about that. And football has become one of the defining sports in American culture. So here's why high school football matters. Just think about it. And this is where I wanted to get a little bit personal. Because professional football gets the television cameras, college football gets the massive stadiums. But high school football is where many young men first learn the football game. learn the game, learn actually the game. And that's important because football teaches things that go beyond football. They teach you discipline, they teach you accountability, they teach you toughness, they teach you teamwork, they teach you responsibility, they teach you how to handle failure, they teach you how to handle success. And learning that sometimes the guy next to you is depending on you to do your job. And that's a lesson that can follow you as a young man the rest of your life. So here's my perspective as a coach. I've been around this game for a long time. And here's what I've learned. Football isn't just about the scoreboard. It's about what happens between the lines. Whether it's on Friday night or Thursday night or even Wednesday night for the freshmen. A kid that begins late affects everybody else. In other words, if he shows up late, he learns that skipping a workout makes the entire team weaker. He learns that you can't blame the quarterback if you didn't get that block or if you missed a block. You can't blame the running back if you missed your assignment. You can't blame the coach if you didn't execute your job. And eventually, you learn something pretty important. Take responsibility for your job because that's football. Football teaches you lifelong lessons that will follow you long after you hang up your cleats. So here's history in a minute. Here's a fun one, just kind of think about. The first documented professional football payment was made in 1892, but professional football didn't immediately become the massive business we know today. It took decades of experimentation, competing leagues, changing rules, and growing popularity before professional football became the dominant American sport institution it is today. The American of the Week. So this week's American of the Week is this. It's the American football coach. Not because we're perfect. We're definitely not. We're far from that. But because there are thousands of men and women across the country who volunteer or work long hours to teach young athletes. That includes those that are in the booster club or volunteering behind the scenes to help raise money at the high school levels or the youth levels, because they're teaching more than blocking and tackling. They're teaching life lessons. And a lot of those coaches will never appear on television, but they matter. They matter to every player because they touch every player's lives. So here's my coach's salute. Today's salute goes to every high school football player putting on a helmet this season. Whether you're a starter, a backup, a scout team player, the kid hoping to get on the field, keep working. You don't know where football might take you, but even if football doesn't take you anywhere after school, the lessons you learn will. So here's the verse of the day. Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. Colossians paragraph 3, verse 23. That's a football lesson if I've ever heard one. Do your job, do it right, and give everything you got. So here's the question of the day. What was your favorite football team growing up, and what made you love that team the most? Or what is still your favorite team and why? And who is it? Whether it's a high school team, a college team, or an NFL team. Tell me in the comments. So here's Coach's challenge. Here's today's challenge. Go watch a football game. But don't watch the ball necessarily. Watch the players who don't have the ball, such as watch the offensive lineman, watch the defensive lineman, watch the safety, watch the receiver. See who's making the right reads. Watch the receiver blocking downfield. Watch the special teams. Find the players doing the little things that don't show up in the statistics, because that's where football is really being played. So here's the coach's whistle. Football has changed a lot since 1869. The equipment has changed. The rules have changed. The strategies have changed. The money certainly has changed. But one thing hasn't changed. Football is still a team game. You can't win by yourself. Somebody has to block for you. Somebody has to tackle. Somebody has to make the read. Somebody has to do the dirty work. And that's why I love this game. Because football teaches you something that applies to life. Your job matters. Maybe nobody sees it. Maybe nobody gives you credit for it. But your teammates are counting on you. So do your job, do it right, and leave the field knowing you gave everything you had. Leave it all on the field. I'm Coach. Thank you for joining me here today on Spin Cycle America, special edition. Remember, this isn't about being perfect. It's about being responsible. It's about understanding where we came from, appreciating the freedoms we have, and doing our part to leave this country better than for the next generation. Have a great day. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, and take care of each other. God bless you, your family, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. I will catch you all on the next episode of Spin Cycle America, and you all have an outstanding day.